GOGI, GOGI. Learn GOGI tools, real lessons to live by.
I'm so grateful, Coach Al, that you could join Coach Johnny and me.
Yeah, I'm grateful too. This is a blessing, big time.
Yeah, but you have a very busy day. What are you going to do later today?
So we're gonna be going into CIW and we're gonna have a ministry event. It's like Good Friday. We're taking in 300 bags of candy. Like Easter eggs, Hershey chocolates, just the Kit Kats, a whole bunch of stuff, like that for them.
Well,
Uh,
okay, here's my question for people who are watching who don't know what CIW is and they don't know what your ministry is. Very short, in a couple sentences, can you break down what is CIW and what do you mean by ministry?
okay, so it's California Institution for Women, and our ministry is Redeem 2020 Ministries, and 80% of our ministry is formerly incarcerated. And what we do is while I minister every Sunday morning. Sometimes, I have a little break and somebody will give their testimony on a Sunday morning or fill in to minister. But and all these people that do join us are formerly incarcerated. So our ministry focuses on um formerly incarcerated coming out of prison to continue their relationship with God. And it's really relatable. It's like relatable because we connect with each other because we all been in the same place. So we go back into the prisons. We go into Chowchilla, we go into CIW. We're working on an event in CIM, California Institutions for Men, where I work. And it's just a blessing, big time,
Well, I'm so grateful that you're here. And our subject today is the GOGI Life Tools in the environment of recovery or moving beyond addiction. Now, by addiction, I'm thinking of all types of addiction. And a lot of people are now even addicted to social media. So we're talking about the big scope of addiction, those instances where people seem to lose control over their positive decision making. I wanted Coach Johnny and I to talk to you. He's a certified drug treatment counselor, and you did a lot of time behind bars and really minister to those who have addictions. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about how the GOGI Life tools can be utilized to help somebody move beyond an addictive tendency. And then I'd love to hear Coach Johnny talk to you a little bit about his perspective.
I was addicted to many drugs before in the past, and the gang lifestyle and all that. um
Was the gang lifestyle also an addiction?
oh yeah, it's a
Yes.
life, it's actually called a lifestyle of addiction, and I was addicted to it. I was addicted to the rush. Like the rush of like um not knowing what can happen any moment, when you walk out in the tear, you know, not knowing if, something can happen. You could, it was definitely addiction, but I still have an addictive behavior. I'm addicted big time. But I'm addicted to something different. I'm addicted to surfing. I'm addicted to ministering. I'm addicted to helping people um find their way, and find their way. I'm addicted to helping people free themselves, So it switched. Um it switched. So understanding that about myself, um having that addictive behavior, I had to switch it. I really had to switch it because it wasn't something that was just going to go away. It was something that was still going to continue, you know. Um and I still um chase that. It's called an emotional rush. An emotional rush is mixed up with fear and excitement, so going out there and surfing, or ministering on on Sunday mornings. um there's a mixture of fear and excitement, fear of possibly people rejecting me. The excitement is people, man, receiving the word of God, and then accepting Jesus Christ, for me. That's like an emotional rush for me,
So
Um,
how did you move to service? Did Gogi play a part in those tools in you transitioning from addicted to emotional and fearful high of the gang mentality or drugs to this new life where you are really literally changing the lives of thousands of people through your addiction?
so there's two things. There's two tools that that I use all the time. And one of them is the boss of my brain. So when I met you in 2015 and when I met you in 2015, um and I started doing the workbooks, the boss of my brain was really, really impactful to me. I had to start making decisions with the smart part of my brain, not the emotional part or not my old habit part. But the other thing, the other that's tool number one. But the other tool that I use is ultimate freedom. Being free is up to me. Being like, man, it's a choice. And going back into the prisons and helping people well and helping people, um that's a choice. I don't have to do it if I don't want to, you know but it's a choice. But it also helps to free me. you know it does, it really does. And when I see the light bulbs going off, oh man. And then I had four people getting granted parole on C yard. I had another person got granted parole on Monday. And
Mhm.
over since I've been going into the prisons, I've had, it's probably, I can't even count, but it's probably like over 20. that's
Yeah, Coach
that's
Ronnie, can you
that's the
kind of,
reward.
yes, I
That's
get it.
what's being free. That's giving back. That's going, uh,
You're feeding the addiction in a different way. Coach
in a
John,
different way.
talk to
Yes.
me a little bit about when you are working, you're a drug treatment counselor as well as on our board and running the mailroom. Do you help individuals with addictions understand that that energy can be utilized for something positive? Or is Coach Al's story different from others?
I think there's a lot of similarity. I think that
Yeah.
there's a common thread that he's woven into his life, that other people can see as an example. When they see him, they see what freedom looks like. He gets to go back in, and I have the opportunity to go in with him to CIW, and we've been into other prisons together. And when people can identify somebody who was actually in their shoes, what happens is they want the recipe. So somebody who loves to eat, if I, identify a really good meal, I'm like, what do you put in that? Like, what does that consist of? And when Al and me and Jessica and some of the other coaches can share how serving others has allowed us to actually experience freedom, even while we're in prison. I think that's the
Yeah.
true gift. Oftentimes people think, well, I'm in prison, I can't be free. And I've experienced more people out here in society that are incarcerated mentally than some of my brothers and sisters in prison.
Would you
Yeah.
say that's true, Al, that more individuals who have physical freedom may be trapped in a prison of their own making or a different kind of prison? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I talk about all the time. Like I have a lot of family members and friends. They're still, even though they've been out here their whole lives, they're still trapped. They're not free. They're not free. And that's because, oh man, I can go on and on. They're still trapped in their own bondage. They don't have the tools. They don't have the tools. They don't, for one, they don't have the Gogi tools,
Mhm.
to be free. you know they don't have it. Like I said, I could give you whole bunch of different stories. But with the Gogi tools, where I learned to be free, while I was inside. I learned to be free while I was inside. Ultimately, I got granted parole. I was sharing last night. I was doing an introduction last night with the CGA class, and I was telling them that, you know what, I was free before I even came out of prison.
Mhm.
You know, I was free. Now I'm like, I was free inside prison. now I am actually physically free. You know, I'm living a life of freedom.
Yeah, Coach Johnny, is that your experience too? Coach Al says, I was free before I even got out of prison. What are your thoughts on that being, I mean, some individuals that don't understand are going to say, what are you talking about? Can you speak to that for a second?
Yeah, so I had the same belief when I first heard that concept of being free in prison. One thing that you shared with me when you first walked in 2010 in the Soledad State Prison was your freedom is up to you. You know, being free is
Yeah.
up to me. And if you want to be free, be of service to your community. And I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, does she understand we're in prison? And as I continued to learn the tools of GOGI and facilitate and share them with others, I would go to visit, and then people would be like, Mom, or their spouse or their kids would be like, this is the guy that helped me come home. And I realized in that moment, like, that's what true freedom looks like. That's what I've been searching for my whole life. When I was gang banging and getting involved in, you know, drugs and alcohol and crime and violence, like that's the feeling I was searching for, that feeling of freedom.
Yeah, Coach Al, I have a question. This may be seen by somebody sitting in an 8-foot cell. It may be seen by somebody on YouTube scrolling in the middle of the night. And if somebody really wanted to change, they really were tired, but their lifestyle, their choices, their addictions have them boxed into defining themselves as stuck or it's impossible. Can you talk for a moment to that person, that one person who is ready? Give them some solid, concrete steps. How can they use their tools to have a sense of freedom like you and Coach Johnny enjoy? That one person sitting there saying, it sounds nice, but how do I do it?
So for me, I can share my life, my life experience and what I did. And I share this, pretty, blatantly. It's like, man, for me, I gave my life to Christ. I said, okay, you know what, God, from now on, you just lead the way. But at the same time, there was tools that were provided to help me, that helped me um be free, you know. And we were in the meeting the other day with or a couple of weeks ago with I think his name is Michael Flores, right? And so we're in this meeting with him with the CRM, and I said that, man, that for me, I see that God's hand is on these tools, is on GOGI. He has like he's he's provided these for us to make a way to be free, and I use them daily. I use the boss of my brain daily. I use what if daily. I use ultimate freedom, giving back. It's not about the paycheck. It's not about, it's just doing that type of work that makes me free. But it didn't start when I paroled. It started when I was inside. It started just like Johnny said, just like Johnny said right now. It started when I was inside, giving back, sharing the GOGI tools with other people, leading other self-help classes, and then for me, it was ministering that also helped me to be free. But that's also in you know in the 12th tool of being an ultimate freedom. For me, that's what really helped me to be free. So that's my advice to them. When I go back in there, I go back in there 4 days a week, and I facilitate 7 different classes. And that's one of the things that I try to empower them with. I empower them and say, hey, you know what? Give back. Give back. Like, step up, be a leader, and help to give back.
So in recapping, what I'm hearing you say, Coach Al, for you, it was finding your purpose, your spiritual purpose, your religion, dedicating your life to something greater than yourself, and then being of service and knowing that you are the boss of your brain. I also heard you say that you have an addictive tendency that's just part of your personality. And
Yep.
now you are addicted to service and your worship of God and following the beliefs of your religion and surfing.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
and surfing and riding my dirt bike and riding a Harley and those type of things.
The best
Yeah.
conditions possible. I really, really love it. I am so proud of you. And I know that the women that experience your company will feel inspired. And I actually know that anybody watching this video who's contemplating real, true, sincere, lasting life changes, it's a scary thing. It's
Yeah.
scary. But it's individuals like you who can prove that it's easier than it might seem. I think that's very important. So thank you for that.
Can I let me say something really quick?
Yeah.
So if this is going to be going inside, I want to share really quick that I spent
Sure.
13 and a half years total in the shoe, 13 and a half years total in the shoe. And
Now, not everybody knows what shoe is. This might be shown in Kentucky.
segregated housing unit.
And what does that mean?
That means that I was put in there. It's a basically isolation, you know. So they put me in
That's why.
isolation because
Why?
of the gang stuff that I used to be involved in the past. But one thing that I do want to share is after I decided to change my life, God made a way for me to come out. I'm not supposed to be out here today. And I ended up paroling in 2020. And since then, I got married. Since then, I've had a son. My son is 10 months. He's gonna be 10 months old. I have another daughter on the way that's gonna be I think she's about 4 months pregnant. I probably got the date wrong. 4 months pregnant. I got a daughter on the way. You know, I go back into the prisons and being of service. I've been to CMC. I've been to Lancaster. I've been to Chowchilla. I go there often. And I work and I go in there. I work at Chino Prison. I go into CIW and I minister once a month. Like, man, that's ultimate freedom, you know? And I've only been out 3 years. I have a nice truck. I have a Harley Davidson. I have a dirt bike. And I started off with one surfboard. Oh, that's my favorite one up there. But now I have 11. That's an addictive personality but I switched it over.
Can
to
anyone
something.
do it, Coach Al? Are you the only person that can do it, or can the guy or the woman sitting there listening to you, can they do it?
They can do it. They can do it. I mean, everybody can do it, you know? And I always let everybody inside know, like, man, just dream, you know, but you have dream. It's okay to dream, you know, but what are you doing today to make that dream come true?
I love that. Coach Johnny,
You know?
what are a couple closing words from you?
You know, just understanding the concept of if being free is up to me,
Yep.
what choices am I making today to make that freedom possible?
I love it. I'm so grateful to both of you for joining me and having this conversation. Addiction of all forms is debilitating and discouraging. And I do believe that both of you have given any of the viewers ample belief or ample realization that change and lasting change is possible. And for that, I'm very grateful. So GOGI for life.
GOGI for life.
All right,
Amen.
guys. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you, Coach Taylor. Thank you, Coach Johnny.
We'll see you soon.
GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. GOGI told me this, I got